Imagine receiving that call in the dead of night. It's from a relative, and the moment you hear their voice, you know something is terribly wrong. Then they say it. Your parent, the person who raised you, loved you unconditionally, and was always there when you needed them, is gone. In that moment, a wave of disbelief crashes over you. You're not ready for this. But what hits harder than the grief itself is the crushing reality of the distance. You're thousands of miles away, in a foreign land, tied to responsibilities, work, bills, rent, taxes. The cost of living is sky high. Housing feels like an impossible dream for most. The weight of rent or a mortgage demands its share from your paycheck every month, leaving you barely keeping afloat. You're already struggling just to survive, and now, on top of that, you're hit with the gut-wrenching loss of someone irreplaceable. Yet, you're bound by the life you've built, by the bills that don't stop, by the job that won't wait. To get home and be with your family, you need to get on a plane. But that plane ticket is more than you can afford. You're staring at an exorbitantly priced, last-minute flight. Over 15 hours for a direct flight. If the flight isn't direct, it could take over 24 hours. The clock is ticking, but there's nothing you can do. You can't go. You simply can't afford it. Not when you're barely getting by. There's no cushion, no savings to fall back on, and no one to help. You're stuck. And it's not just the cost of the flight. The reality of your work situation is even worse. You're given 1, maybe 2, or 3 days off for bereavement. That's it. More than that, it's not an option. You'll face consequences. You don't have the luxury of grieving. Your duties are here, across the ocean, far from your family, far from the ones who need you now. And the worst part? You can't even afford unpaid leave. Your paycheck barely stretches to meet the basics. If you do take time off, there's a good chance your employer has already hired someone else to take your place, leaving you with nothing but the loss of your job. So, you keep working, even when your heart is broken, because you can't afford to do otherwise. It's in these moments, when everything is falling apart, that the weight of it all hits you. The distance, the isolation, the helplessness. You want to be there for your family. You want to grieve with them, hold them close, comfort them. But you're stuck. You're trapped in a foreign land, in a job that doesn't care about your pain, with nothing but memories and a broken heart. Living abroad can feel like a sacrifice. It can feel like being a soldier in a war that isn't one of violence, but of survival. Always fighting just to keep going. We can't be there when we need to, not for the happiest moments and certainly not for the hardest ones. We're bound by duty, by obligations that pull us away from home, even in our most desperate times. For those who aren't wealthy, the ability to travel for an emergency, to be there for your family, is a distant dream. Only a few can afford that luxury. For the rest of us, it's a struggle just to make ends meet. You may not be able to afford that last-minute flight. You may not have the time off. And even if you do, the distance remains, a constant reminder of everything you're missing. So, how do you cope with this kind of loss? How do you navigate grief when your very life here makes it impossible to grieve as you need to? The truth is, you don't get to escape the pain. It's always there, lingering, a shadow that follows you in the quiet moments. But somehow, you find ways to honor their memory, even from far away. Maybe it's through a prayer, a video call, a silent moment of reflection. It's never the same as being there, but you try. The journey through grief when you're living so far from home is one of the loneliest paths you'll ever walk. You carry the weight of your loss with you. And the only thing that keeps you going is the understanding that love knows no boundaries. Though you can't be there physically, your heart, your thoughts, and your memories are with your family. They always will be. Living abroad often feels like being a soldier on a mission. Every day is a battle for survival, for the next paycheck, for the next meal. And no matter what happens at home, you stay. You keep moving forward, not because you don't care, but because you have no choice. And in this struggle, you find strength you never knew you had. It's hard and it's painful, but you keep going. You honor the people who made you who you are, even if they're no longer here to see it. So, listen to this from someone who's been through it. Start saving. I know it's hard. I know it feels impossible when you're scraping by. But if you can, start putting something away for the emergencies you pray you'll never face. When tragedy strikes, you won't be stuck. You won't be left to wonder how you'll pay for a flight home, or if you'll be able to take the time off to heal. You'll have a cushion to fall back on. You'll be prepared for the worst, even if you're far from home. The weight of taxes, rent, bills, and the cost of living can feel suffocating, but it's within these challenges that we find our true strength. Life is hard, but you're stronger than you think. You are not defined by the circumstances that try to hold you down, but by the way you rise in spite of them. Keep moving forward. Honor your parents' dreams for you. Let their legacy live on in your achievements. They are watching over you, proud of the person you're becoming, and their love will guide you through it all. In the end, the struggle is not your defeat. It's your testament to resilience. Keep going. Don't give up. And know that no matter where you are, your family's love is always with you. Always.